here we are at Gen Con in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I have the owner of Gen Con, Peter Adkison. Peter, thank you so much for speaking with me.
Sure.
And
thank you for coming.
Well, you're welcome. I haven't missed it for the last, I think, 5 years now.
Excellent.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself beyond Gen Con, just for starters?
Well, I'm a gamer. I love games. I got into the gaming industry in 1990 when I started Wizards of the Coast, and that was my job for 10 years, running that company. Sold to Hasbro in the late 90s, and then in 2002 I acquired Gen Con. I've had a couple other ventures along the way, but I've owned Gen Con since 2002, and my business partner, Adrienne Sporthouse, CEO, she runs it, and we love the show. It's a great show.
Oh, it's awesome. I have to ask you, can you tell me just a little bit about your background in gaming? What got you so passionate about gaming?
Well, I think my dad got me into gaming. My mom, my parents all game. My family gamed when I was a kid. We did a lot of gaming. I grew up gaming, and somewhere along the way, we found the Avalon Hill style war games back in the 1960s.
Wooden Ships and Iron Men.
Yeah, Gettysburg, U-Boat, Blitzkrieg, Panzerblitz,
Axis and Allies.
Yeah. Then so we played all these sorts of games, and then in 1978, I found Dungeons and Dragons in a store somewhere, and became hooked on Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games. My first love, and of course we played board games, and then at Wizards we did Magic the Gathering. Richard Garfield designed, and so I guess I'm just really an all-around gamer. I even play Napoleonics from time to time, so whatever it takes.
Awesome. Now you've got another passion that has been showing up in online and such in the last couple of years.
Tell
me about that.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I decided I was between projects. Decided, okay, I got to pick what I want to do next, and I'd always dreamed of making movies. And I think earlier in my life, I probably just dismissed that as ridiculous. Could never do that. And I was like, hey, why not give it a try, right? And so
Absolutely.
I went to film school last year and spent the year in a very intense program learning about screenwriting and camera work and editing and history of film and all this stuff, and loved it. And so December, when school was over, I started a film company called Hostile Work Environment, and I want to make films that geeks would like. I'm making films that I would like, effectively. Right. So we've had a couple of projects. We're doing a series called Gen Con Behind the Screen, which is kind of a fake reality show, like The Office, but set at the Gen Con offices.
Very cool.
Right. So that is just funny and ridiculous. And
are there going to be actual people who work at Gen Con, or will it be actors?
It's all people it's all like Adrienne Sporthouse, Scott Elliott. It's all the people are playing themselves.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it has the challenge of them not all being professional actors. Well, really, none of them except Jim Page.
And she's a cutie, so she can make up for the rest.
She's amazing. Yeah, we love working with Jen. And then my next project will be a period piece. What I want to get to ultimately is fantasy. I really want to do fantasy films, and so I started with something contemporary because it's easier to film in terms of like set design and costuming and stuff. And then I'm going to do a fantasy piece called The Devil Walks in Salem, which we're running a Kickstarter for. So check it out, get a chance. And that is this is what really appeals to me in terms of the maximum geek factor, is that the screenplay for this film, to be a 30-minute short movie, was an adaptation from an actual role-playing session that I filmed last year in Seattle.
Very cool.
Yeah, so they played 4 gamers, played a game of Fiasco, created this story, these characters, and it's just cool to see. Like, I always fantasize, like, I'm playing a role-playing game. Wouldn't it be cool if this session was a movie, right? Or if my character was played by an actor in a movie? Well, we're doing that. We're fulfilling that fantasy.
So will you be having professional actors in this movie?
Yep, that will all be professional actors, and yep.
What kind of budget are you looking at?
We're targeting $40,000 on our Kickstarter.
Very cool.
And I'll probably throw in another 10 or 20, and it should be enough to do a good job for a 30-minute film.
Yeah, I've seen some great indie films done for 50, 60,000. So
Yeah. I mean, you could do cheaper. I mean, when people talk about doing stuff for, I did this film for $500. Well, it's because they didn't pay anybody.
Right.
And I don't like that. I like to see everybody who puts in honest work get an honest wage out of it. So that makes it difficult to do something super cheap. But yeah, and then after that, I want to move to fantasy films. I see a period piece as kind of a stepping stone towards fantasy. Add in the magic, the monsters to a period piece, and you're there. So
yeah, and this is going to be a haunted house type thing, or what?
It's called The Devil Walks in Salem. It is inspired from the Salem witch trials.
Oh, okay.
So they play the game Fiasco, and Fiasco uses a play set that helps set the mood for whatever the game is.
Right.
And so they use the Salem play set to create the environment, if you will, for the story. And,
okay. Very cool. And just to point out, Fiasco is a role-playing game?
Yes, Fiasco is a role-playing game designed by Jason Morningstar, and it's the subgenre of story games, which are role-playing games that focus more on story development than mechanics.
Right.
And that's probably sort of the poster child, if you will, for that subgenre of games.
Right. Yeah, I've seen people play it. So I do know what it is, but I just wanted to make sure that anybody watching knew.
Right.
And so it's going to be 50, 60,000 budget and paid actors.
Yep.
And where are you going to be doing it?
Somewhere in Washington.
Okay.
In fact,
Beautiful.
we're hiring a location designer or location scout to find our locations for us. Some of it might be in a studio. But,
Very cool.
We don't know yet. Still got to work that out.
So can you tell me just a little bit of the plot? I'm curious.
Yeah, sure.
Little sneak preview.
Yeah. There's 4 major adult characters and a child, and the 2 of the adults are married, but the woman's older sister is very dominating and is using the Salem witch trials to basically have political enemies and people she doesn't like home. So she's the villain of it, and then that couple's daughter gets accused of witchcraft, and so the question is, will she use her influence to save her niece, or is she so nasty that she won't even do that, right? So and then there's there's also a love triangle in the plot too. So yeah, delicious. And we have at least 3 hangings.
3 hangings?
At least 3 hangings.
Ooh. Nothing like a good execution to get the blood running?
It's going to be a dark film. Yeah. This film will come with adult content labels.
Alrighty then. And can you tell me a little bit about the Kickstarter? What kind of awards do you? Excuse me. What do you get with the different roles?
Sure. Well, it's kind of like a dual track of whether you're a film buff or a gamer, or both, right? So we have kind of like the gamer package, which will be all of them include the film, but also a documentary about story gamers, a sort of a tailored version of the Salem playset with our graphics on it, examples of play, like really
very
follow
cool.
like how the game.
So Fiasco's getting involved too?
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. But they're endorsing it, if you will. I mean,
Right.
So we're doing it, but they're giving us the rights to do that. And then the filmmakers package will be like memorabilia, copies, prints from actresses on set, this sort of
Very
stuff
cool.
like that. So, and the bigger rewards are like come play an extra, be part of the angry town mob and yell "burn the witch" and stuff like that. So.
Pardon my snorting. Is Jen going to be in it? Gotta ask.
No,
No.
she will not be in it.
No.
It's I think she found it a little outside of her comfort zone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I said it's going to be a dark film, and I respect her decision on that.
Understandably so. So, I like to close with giving my interviewee the opportunity of telling something weird and wonderful about themselves or their projects or what they're doing. Any interesting anecdotes about your filmmaking? Anything interesting happen on the sets?
Interesting things that happen on a set. Oh, yes, actually. So the most recent version of Gen Con Behind the Screen, I do an appearance as a hobo. So, and a bunch of us are hobo extras, and so it was a lot of fun. We all dressed up as hobos and with makeup and all looking grimy and everything like that, and it was a lot of fun. Well, we did this, and it was the last thing we shot. And then I went up to the bar where everybody was while we were kind of wrapping up, and I went to the bar and almost got in a fight. This guy came up to me and says, "You should be ashamed of yourself. You didn't realize it was all makeup." And he was like, you should be ashamed, and he had that look of somebody that just really wanted to punch somebody.
Really?
And I just kept laughing and smiling. No, I was on a film shoot. This is all makeup. It's okay. He's like that. And I just kept laughing.
Wonderful.
And can't somebody's laughing.
Oh yeah, it's understandable.
Unless they're laughing at you, which I was.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So like, yeah, look at the skin. See his makeup. It comes right off. It's insane.
Well, very cool. Very cool. Well, Peter, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It's my pleasure.
I hope you have a great Gen Con.
Oh, always.
All right.
And from Gen Con 2013 in Indianapolis, Indiana, this has been The Weird Review.
Weird.